County, and my role in the community is to do education related to ornamental plants and horticulture, so trees, shrubs, flowers, and turf grass. Fall, especially the month of September, is a critical time of year to care for plants in order to really prepare them for the next growing season. Not only does fall allow plants to recover from the damage that occurs during the heat of the summer, but it's also a great time for plants to develop roots and really set themselves up for success for the next growing season. However, with drought restrictions, many people are wondering how to adjust their fall landscaping practices in order to improve their recovery of their lawns and gardens and also conserving water at the same time. And so I'm here to share a few tips today. Really today, my first tip is to encourage everyone to reduce the frequency at which the water is applied, especially as temperatures cool in the fall. Typically, daytime temperatures are cooler in the fall and day length shortens, and this results in three things that require less water for our plants. Typically, less water is lost through soil evaporation from the sun, less water is used by the plants in order to try to cool those plants, and more rainfall and dew naturally occur in the fall, providing some additional water to support our plants. These factors require less supplemental water for our lawns and gardens in the fall, especially as compared to the summer months. And therefore, we should reduce the frequency in which we're applying water in the landscape because it's needed in less amounts. Before watering, it's important to continue to test to make sure that water is actually needed. Taking a soil probe or a long screwdriver and inserting it into the ground is an easy way to test the soil moisture of your soil. The screwdriver is going to insert easily into moist soil and then stop when it hits dry soil. Ideally, we want to make sure that our soil is watered 6 to 8 inches deep for our turf grass and 12 to 24 inches deep for our trees and shrubs. We want to continue to water deeply, slowly, and infrequently when we do water. And again, because of the cooler weather with fall, typically established landscapes like our lawns are only going to need irrigation every 10 to 14 days instead of the frequency that they need during the summer months. Mulch is also going to be really important in the fall, especially for our flower beds and gardens. Mulch is an essential way to conserve water during periods of drought and will reduce the amount of water that's lost and evaporated through our soil. Typically, we want to apply a 2 to 4 inch layer of mulch across the flower beds and gardens in order to trap that soil moisture so it's available for our plants. It's also a good idea to consider reducing the amount of turf grass that grows around our trees and replacing that lawn with mulch in order to reduce the amount of water that is competed between the grass and the tree, and basically allowing more water for the tree to be available. We also want to make sure that we amend our soils in the fall so that our soils have the ability to absorb more water and retain more water in order to support plant roots. Organic matter such as compost, manure, leaf debris, and garden residue are important to add to our soil, especially into the fall. These are again going to improve the ability of our soils to absorb water from rainfall and irrigation events, and also hold that water for plants' roots to be able to use. When adding new organic matter, we can add up to 3 to 6 inches of organic matter into our newly planted or newly prepared flower beds or gardens. And if we have existing flower beds or gardens, we can still add a 1 to 2 inch layer across those areas to the surface in order to benefit it. Even our lawns will benefit from the addition of organic matter, and we can add a 1 inch layer of compost over our lawns in the fall in order to allow the freezing and thawing cycles of the winter to incorporate that organic matter into the soil, again reducing the need for water throughout the summer months. A healthy soil is really going to be able to establish healthy roots for plants, and healthy roots are going to be able to better support healthy plants during periods of drought. It's also a great time of the year to consider replacing high water use plants in the landscape, things that we've noticed over the past 2 months that have continually struggled in between waterings. Now is a great time to remove those plants and consider drought tolerant alternatives that could be used in their place. If planting grass seed this fall, we typically want to encourage people to think about the type of grass seed you're applying. Tall fescue is usually what's planted in the fall. However, if we wait until the summer months, such as May, we can plant a lot more drought-tolerant alternatives such as buffalo, zoysia, or Bermuda. Typically, if you are going to plant in the fall, the window for planting is mid-August to October 15th. And by waiting until late September to early October, this is going to reduce the amount of water that's needed to establish those tall fescue seeds because, again, of the cooler temperatures and longer periods that the soil is going to be able to hold moisture. Tall fescue can also be planted as dormant seed during the winter months as well, where again, the snowfall and the natural precipitation that occurs over the winter months will help that seed establish, and then as growing conditions are right in the spring, that seed will pop up and go. If you're not planting grass seed this fall, it's a really good time of year to think about weed control, because weeds are going to compete with our plants that are desirable for the water that's available. If you're not planting a fall lawn, it's really a good idea this time of year, early to mid-September, to think about establishing pre-emergence, or applying pre-emergence, however, to prevent new weeds from establishing, especially in lawns that are thin or stressed by drought. We also want to control weeds in late October to early November, especially our established weeds, by either digging, pulling, or spraying in order to get the most effective control. The next tip is to core aerate. Typically this is done to our lawns in the September month. Ideally, if we wait until the end of September to core aerate, we're going to reduce the amount of damage that's caused to our lawn, but still be able to pull those soil plugs out of the soil and create holes where water can more easily infiltrate down into the soil. The last recommendation is to really limit fertilizer use this fall. The more fertilizer we apply, the more growth that results in our plants and the more water that's needed to support that growth. Typically, if we are going to fertilize, we want to wait again until late September in order to reduce the amount of supplemental water that's needed. And again, we should consider skipping that fertilizer, especially on our trees and shrubs, to prevent excess growth, which might put additional stress on our plants during this period of drought. With that, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to the K-State Research and Extension Office or visit our website, sedgwick.ksu.edu, for more information.
Thank you for those tips, Matt. We really appreciate it. I also want to remind everyone who has been conserving water during this stage 2 of the drought since August. We want to say thank you to all of you. I mentioned that Cheney levels are still down, and we expect within the next week to reach a level of 57.8% of the conservation pool, which is a historic low that was last reached in February of 2013. Next month, we forecast that Cheney will reach just over 55% of the conservation pool. Even during the fall and winter months, when outdoor water activity slows, it is crucial we remain drought aware. Next, we will switch topics to mental health. I have asked Eric Litweiler with the Mental Health America of South Central Kansas to regularly come to our weekly briefing and give us some mental health tips. I think this is something that our community can benefit from. One key note is that mental health is a purview of the Sedgwick County government, but it is up to all of us to be part of the solutions and support for mental health in our community. And we want to thank everyone for reaching out to the Mental Health America for those resources. And now we will have Eric here regularly. So thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you, Mayor. So for today's mental health tip, I wanted to address the important distinction between a mental illness and a mental health concern, because I think sometimes people feel like they don't need to seek help if it's not a diagnosed mental illness. So roughly a quarter of our city's population experiences a mental illness in the span of a year, even though less than 60% of those folks actually seek and receive care. However, 100% of the citizens of Wichita experience symptoms of a mental illness every year, even if those symptoms are not experienced strongly enough to be diagnosable. Those are the mental health concerns. And though they are not mental illnesses, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't benefit from seeing a therapist. For instance, we all feel sadness when we lose a loved one, even if that sadness doesn't cross the line into a depressive disorder. We all experience anxiety when we make a job change or send a child off to college hours away from home for the first time. But that feeling of anxiety doesn't automatically mean we have an anxiety disorder. And just because the symptoms that you feel are not debilitating, even if they don't take up a disproportionate share of your day, even if you will indeed get over it eventually, it does not mean that you should not talk to a professional. If you're handling the stressors in a healthy and sustainable manner, A therapist can tell you that and send you home with nothing more than a reminder to call them again if anything changes. But if you're struggling with your concern in a way that puts you at greater risk for those symptoms becoming chronic, crossing the line into diagnosable territory, or if there are hints that use of addictive substances or behaviors are beginning to exacerbate the issue, then your therapist can provide resources to keep a full-blown co-occurring disorder from settling in, which would affect both you and your family for the long term. So, in addition to your annual mental health checkup, which we hope everybody gets, please make sure in addition that you are talking to a professional whenever you go through a major life change, a job loss, a divorce, a move. Those sources of stress are significant triggers for common mental health concerns like anxiety and depression, and left untreated, they can turn into full-blown mental illnesses that affect your family life and your workplace productivity.
Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate that you will be doing this every week with us on our Thursday's Mayor's Briefing. Also, yesterday morning, we officially closed on the former Park Elementary School. A request for proposals will be released this Friday for operation of the winter shelter, which will come to the City Council in October, and the shelter is expected to open in November. We will have an opportunity to learn more about the winter shelter operations as we get closer to that opening date. Finally, the parking issue is expected to come back to the City Council in the next couple of months after more public engagement has concluded. We expect to discuss that plan, possible fees, implementation at a later time. But be sure to visit parkwichita.com for engagement opportunities in the meantime to learn more. And now we'd like to invite Andrew Ford with the Wichita Police Department to give us an update on how you can keep from being a target of vehicle break-ins. Andrew.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Recently, the International Association Chiefs of Police teamed up with retired basketball all-star Shaquille O'Neal, talking about a right to carry but a duty to secure. And this is in relation to firearms and vehicle break-ins. Nationally, over 200,000 firearms were stolen out of vehicles. So let that sink in for a minute. In the beginning of 2024 to August of 2024 this year in Wichita alone, we have had over 501 firearms stolen. Out of those 501 firearms stolen, a little over 223 of those firearms were stolen out of vehicles. Now, this is important because we want to keep our community safe. So we're asking residents, those who have a firearm, but also have a vehicle, lock your vehicles, secure them, but do not leave loaded firearms inside of your locked vehicle. That is a sure way to get that firearm taken. Also, if you're inside of your home and you have a firearm, secure it if you have to, by any means necessary, whether that's a lock safe, a secure box. This keeps our community safe. Because one of the things, those 233 firearms, those 501 firearms that are stolen, and the 233 that were stolen out of vehicles, they end up in other states and can be used to commit crimes. So we want to keep our community safe. But in order to do that, our community has to help us do that as well. So making sure that you secure your vehicles at night, don't leave any valuables inside of the vehicle, which will make it a target for thieves to go and break into that vehicle, or leave any firearms inside that vehicle, which will leave for a target for thieves to get that firearm and use it in the commission of a crime. We ask all of our residents in the city of Wichita to do what we call sometimes the 9 p.m. routine, or check it or chirp it, or lock it or lose it. Again, that is making sure you secure your vehicle. Because one of the things I've always said, an unlocked vehicle can also lead to an unlocked home. People have garages that are connected to their vehicles or garage door openers. Just imagine if you leave your vehicle unsecured, you're now giving a potential criminal access to your garage. So in that, I say, just please remember to lock your vehicles. 9 p.m., just do a check it or chirp it. 9 p.m. routine. Just make sure that by any means you make sure your vehicle is secured, and that if you have any firearms inside of your home, if you're not home, if you're going to work and you don't take them with you, secure them in a safe place so they cannot be taken. Thank you.
Thank you again, Andrew, for that update on how to prevent from being a victim of firearm thefts. Be sure to protect your car and your belongings, especially during the holiday season, which is coming up, where break-ins become even more prevalent. And now I would like to invite Vice Mayor Maggie Ballard to share with us a few things that are happening in District 6, including something that's happening this upcoming Saturday.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we are very excited about unity in the community. For District 6, each of the districts are doing one of these events, and it is time for District 6. So we will start at Evergreen Park around 10 in the morning, and we have a little route that we are going to be doing a little rally in the neighborhood. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to have Fire and Police Foundation will have a booth where you are able to make signs and kind of march around the neighborhood with us. We'll have a DJ, free food, and we are very excited about it. So super excited about that. Yesterday we went and put a bunch of flyers on doors, so I am hopeful for a very good turnout. Also, ironically, I was at Big Brothers and Big Sisters earlier this morning, which is now located in Delano. If you haven't seen their new space, it is beautiful. The reason I mention this is because September is National Big Brothers Big Sisters Month. Governor Kelly also did a proclamation making it statewide too. They're having a campaign this month to work towards 65 new match inquiries and 20 new matches throughout Sedgwick County. I think it's safe to say that I will be taking credit for one of those inquiries and matches. I used to be a big sister before I left for college, and I'm looking forward to matching again very soon. Big Brothers and Big Sisters staff mentioned this morning that several of our fire and police staff participate in the school-based program. That's where you can go read or eat lunch with your little a few times a month. There are currently 400 littles waiting in Sedgwick County and 150 kids ready for their match today. Big Brothers and Big Sisters matches kids ages 5 to 17 and serves kids from age 5 to 25. So please go to their website to find out more information at www.kansasbigs.org/beabig. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Again, we are grateful to the Wichita Fire Department, Wichita Police Department, and many of our community partners who will be coming to the third iteration of Unity in the Community, this time in District 6 at Evergreen. Again, a reminder, it's this upcoming Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon at Evergreen, which is located at 2700 North Woodland. It's a great opportunity to come out and support peace and rally together with our neighbors for peace. And as I like to close out our mayor's briefing, I always like to share the good things that are happening in our community. And just before this briefing, I had the opportunity to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new Learning Lab, which is a first of its kind in the United States. And it's happening right here in Wichita, Kansas. It is education innovators coming together to help the community get better together in regards to education. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity to see innovation happen all throughout our city. And congratulations to Learning Lab and the partners out there. And the kiddos showed me a little bit of their space, and I'm so proud of them. Many of them were from Wichita Public Schools, as well as some homeschool kiddos. Just really excited about the opportunity to innovate in education. So congratulations again. So at this time, I see no one here for questions, so we will close it out and say, have a safe and wonderful weekend, and get out to the State Fair as well. It is happening until this weekend, and it's a great opportunity to be proud to be a Kansan. So have a great weekend, and see you all next week.